I'm going to be interviewing a good friend of mine, Rosario Aveduto. Rosario is an Italian attorney. He's based in Italy right now, but he's working for a law firm in the US. Talk about best of both worlds, right? And so he's working for a law firm in the US. Rosario and I went to the law school together at the University of Washington School of Law, where we also got our master's in intellectual property law. So I know Rosario. I know his story because I was practically part of his story and he is part of mine, right? And so we went through the process together. One thing I want you to pay attention to is all the principles, and not principles because I don't want to be so legal, but all the tips that Rosario gives in this episode, right? In this episode, we're going to be talking about Rosario's job hunting process, like what the struggle was like for him, and how he actually got his job, and what he's actually doing. Rosario brings a lot of interesting things in this episode, really interesting dynamics that I want you to pay attention to, and I want you to apply to your own story. One other thing I want you to get from this episode is your story doesn't have to be like everybody's story. Rosario is not in the US, he's in Italy, but he's working for a US firm, right? Which is really exciting for me. And I want you to be open to the possibilities of what your own story could look like from this. All right, enough of talking and hearing me. Let's jump right into this wonderful episode. Rosario, first of all, thank you so much for being here. I can't thank you enough. I'm sure this would be very meaningful and useful to the community. So I go like, first off, just tell us a bit about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? And stuff like that.
Okay. First of all, it's my pleasure to be here and to be the first. So my name is Rosario. I'm from Italy, from a small town in southern Italy, and I know Ijoma because we spent a good year together at the University of Washington, and we went through quite a lot in terms of school and job hunting, and so we have a good bond forms in law school. That's for sure. So that's kind of where I'm from. Where I'm now, I'm working in Italy for a U.S. law firm in Seattle. So I am a licensed U.S. attorney, and I'm about to be also an Italian licensed attorney. And I'm basically helping my firm set up the first European and Italian office in mainland Europe.
Go, Rosario! That is so amazing to hear. I think it's more amazing for me because I feel like we started right from our master's in law program, and it's just been a process of seeing you like I don't know the best word to use, but like it's really amazing.
Develop.
Develop, yeah, I guess. But congratulations, that's really fantastic news, right? Can you tell us a bit about your specialization and what value you feel like an LLM has added to you career-wise?
Yeah, absolutely. So I specialize in intellectual property, usually referred to as copyrights, trademarks, and patents. My, let's say, subcategory of that is mostly comprised of trademarks, copyrights, and the contracts that go around these rights. So mostly licensing agreements and or other contracts involving the sale of, transfer, or use of IP rights. This was a good segue to what I studied at the University of Washington, because my intention was to specialize on trademarks specifically, and that's pretty much what I'm doing right now. So that worked out. But I'm really learning a lot. But I had a very good background based on what I studied at the University of Washington.
So in other words, the Masters of Law prepared you. The Masters in Intellectual Property actually like set you on the right path for what you're doing right now. It sets the foundation, and fantastic, right? Okay, I feel like I want to go into the most important part of this segment where we really talk about like your job hunting experience. And it's interesting because I feel like we were we
Yeah,
were in similar boats.
you were there. You were there.
I was there too, right? And I feel that's why it's so amazing to have you here today. So let's go into like the most important part of this and what I feel everybody really wants to know. What was your experience looking for work as an LLM student in the US? Blow us away
Okay.
with your experience.
Uh, I'll try to be as honest as I can. But at the same time, I want to kind of focus on the useful stuff.
Okay.
Generally, as everybody will tell you, and if they tell you otherwise, they're lying. But finding, coming to the United States as a foreigner on a visa and finding a job here is relatively hard. Actually, it's very hard. And you can ask most LLM students in our situation, they will tell you the same thing. It's hard because of a ton of different reasons. The way you can approach this issue is by thinking as your employer. So for most employers in the United States, it's easier to hire a US person because, for 1,000 reasons, but mostly because of immigration and also because they already know exactly what their background is. So for example, a US firm knows what a US law graduate knows because they also know because they were there too. But they don't know what's the background of an Italian
That's
graduate.
deep.
That's one gamble that they need to take on you. And so by adding these uncertain factors, you make it easier for them to just pick an American over you. On the other hand, there is another factor which I think it's the most useful for people who are in our situation, which is to use your different background to provide value for your employer and in turn for their clients. Because at the end of the day, one thing that I think is probably the most useful thing that I've learned is that most of the people that are hired in this line of work, they are hired based on the value that they can provide. So it doesn't have anything to do with grades or how good you are and what you do. I mean, obviously you have to be somewhat good, but that's not the point. The point is finding a match between you and someone who needs someone like you. So basically, it's all about searching constantly until you find a person that has a need for someone that offers what you can offer. But on the other hand, you have something that most Americans cannot offer, which is your foreign background. So most of the times you will see that people who are not US people that are looking for a job, they will usually get jobs that are somehow connected to their background or to their home country. One of the reasons why I was why basically my finding a job was a little facilitated for me after a while is that so I'm helping setting up an Italian office. So that's where my Italian background is becoming useful, and that's something that no one else, or very few people here would be able to offer. So I guess the final principle can be summarized as make sure that you know exactly what you can offer. In very practical terms, try to focus on what you can offer and create some sort of how can I call it, a pitch, and from there try to talk to as many people and try to get to know as many people as you can, and basically keep looking until you find someone that's looking specifically for the thing that you're offering.
Like that's so amazing. I feel like you've highlighted, you've mentioned a couple of things that I just want to highlight. First of all, you've mentioned that you always have something different or something unique about you just by being an international student, right?
Yes.
That background is not something that you try to rub off or erase. It's something that you should elevate instead, like try to zone in on it. What can you provide that the
Yes.
US folks cannot provide, right?
I,
For you
I
in
think
this,
yeah, sorry.
no, it's okay. But for you in this case, what you
Mm.
provided was, in addition to your expertise and your skills, and Italian background was something I feel like has helped in this position as well. So I feel like that's something to to think about. So take stock of yourself. What unique and distinguishing factor do you have to offer?
One more thing is a common mistake that foreign students make, and I was one of them, is
Hmm.
to try to be American.
Ugh, tell me about it.
You can do that, and it's fine.
Hmm.
But you will be running a race at a big disadvantage if you only use your American background, for the simple reason that so most LLM programs they last 9 months or maybe a year and a half if you extend it. So you will have 1 year and a half, and your competition will have twice as
Yeah.
long of preparation, and they will have summer internships, and they will have judicial externships. So you're trying to run. If you do this, I mean, you can do it if you feel that that's the thing you want to do. Absolutely, you should go for it. But know that there is an easier way to run the race. If you need to choose a different race, a race when you're the one that has an advantage,
Yeah.
and that's where your background comes in.
In other words, be yourself. Be Own
Yeah,
your background. Own. I guess that is something that I feel like it's very important to highlight. Don't come
yeah.
and try to be
So many
American
people, so
because you
many
don't
people
have a
say,
long time. You don't actually have a very long time to be American. It's up to you, obviously, but you don't
yeah,
have a very
yeah.
long time to be American. In
And
nine
now,
months,
an important thing is that you should really trust yourself and not let people tell you what to do. I mean, you can take hints and you can, follow guidance from time to time, but be sure that the plan that you're following is your own. Because there are a lot of people that, even with good intentions, they paint a picture that maybe does not apply to you. In my class, so many people, we were presented with this idea that finding a work in the United States was next to
no.
impossible, and that basically we were going to go back to our countries, all of us. And guess what? Most of us are still, they're either here in the US or like me, they're working abroad but with the US. So don't let people put limits around your plans, and accept guidance where you think that it's useful. But if you think that at some point you think that someone is being wrong, or maybe someone does their judgment doesn't really resonate with your instincts, then go with what you feel. Because at that if you let someone else decide for you, it's bad. Because at least if you decide yourself, it's your responsibility, but no one else should take the decision for you. US law school, they offer very good advisors. They help you a lot, but the problem is, they see so many students, so it's very hard for them to see your specific qualities. So, and most of the times, those unique qualities that you have, maybe they're not on the surface, so other people cannot see them. Only you have access to them. So obviously they make a judgment based on what they can see. But if you most of the times there is a lot under the surface, and so that's where you have to make the choice for yourself.
I guess we'll pivot from that a bit, um, and to just talk a bit about your experience, if you feel comfortable. But like, talk about your experience, finding your current job. Like, what did you do? Because in the end, that's what we want to know. Okay, guys, we've heard
Okay,
everything.
yeah,
Really nice stuff. What did you do, Rosario, to get your job right now?
okay. As a background, so I'm working for Han Santos PLLC. This is a boutique law firm that's expanding very fast. It's a firm mostly focused on intellectual property. So that was kind of the first piece of the puzzle. It's so the way I came in contact with Han Santos. So during my last quarter at the University of Washington, I had one spare credit that I needed to graduate. Ultimately, I decided to go for this licensing tutorial course. He currently taught by Curtis Hom. He had his own practice, and it was a very small course. We were just 6 people, 7 people, and so there was a lot of conversation and a lot of discussion between our group, and we formed a very close bond with Professor Hom, and at some point after I graduated, I started job searching, and obviously that's something very few people like to do. I was going through the usual rinse and repeat with applications, resume, cover letters, and all of that. And at some point in the summer, my professor he reached out to me because we talked. So during the course, we talked a lot about tips and tricks and the general approach to job hunting. And he asked me, what was my situation. It was basically he was checking in on me and kind of getting a sense of what I was doing. And I mentioned to him that I wasn't going anywhere because with COVID that happened, it was very hard to find jobs, and so I was still searching. And so he suggested that I met with Han Santos' managing partner, which is a friend of his. And so basically, that's how it began. It began as an introduction. It wasn't even an interview or a serious conversation. It was just, I know this person, talk to them, meet them, see what happens after that. And you know this just as well as me. We have done this exercise so many times.
So many times.
You go to I don't know any event and you meet people and you talk to them, and I mean that's the exercise. And every time you say, who knows, maybe this is the person that ends up that ends up working with me, or that I end up working for, because as soon as we started speaking, so Patrick Santos, he's the managing partner, and we really hit it off, and so at that point there was no job on the table, obviously, because we had just met. But I could see that we had a very nice conversation, and uh, things were going very well, and we started talking. He started talking about some projects that he had, and how my background could help them um see this project to fruition. And so that's where kind of the second piece of the puzzle came in, and that's where I basically had a chance to use my background, my Italian background, to do something that an American attorney could not do. Nothing substantial happened for a few months after that. So I had to wait quite a few months. We were in touch every now and then during these months, but it was nothing serious at that time. And so at that point I've almost given up because I was about to go back home. I made peace with it because with all that happened with the pandemic, there really wasn't much that I could do to change the situation around me. And that's also one thing that's very important. It's know when uh, you're facing something that you have no power over. Sometimes it's just you need to go with the flow and just wait that something better will come at some point.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's pretty much what happens.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think so. I really think so. I feel like just hearing all you've said, it started off with a relationship. You didn't meet with your professor and the first thing you said was, "Oh, hey professor, I need a job."
yeah, yeah,
Right?
it's all organic. You need to be able to look at things from their perspective. Because they meet you and then they meet, I don't know, friendly other people. So you're not special in the sense that you are there with so many other people. So you need to keep the conversation alive because
Mm.
maybe 20 people will have one conversation, but only 10 will have a second conversation, and so on and so on. So be sure to be, if you have contacts that you are interested in, make sure that you keep them, you keep the conversation alive.
And the
Even if it's a
relationship.
small thing, but keep them appraised of what you do. I don't know if you're writing an article or a blog post, send them an email, and most of the times they're very happy to hear from you, and they will give a read to what you're writing, and then they'll come back with some feedback, or it's a good way to put yourself out in the map. Because sometimes maybe they don't need you, but someone else they know
We'll need
might.
you.
And you need to kind of use uh, create your network, because one link connects to another, and that's how you do it.
Amazing. That's amazing, Rosario. I'm hearing stuff like build relationships. So I feel like that's something to emphasize to LLM students, because it's easy for you to say, why do I have to speak to this person? He doesn't have a job for me, or they don't have a job for me. It's a waste
Yeah,
of my time.
it's especially I don't know about Nigeria, but in Italy that's very different from my culture. I mean, it's very rare for young attorneys or law students to go around parties and talk to, big time attorneys. It doesn't happen.
Hmm.
You're treated like a kid because, you're in school, so automatically you are a kid.
Hmm.
But in the United States, it's very different. People are always looking forward to meet you, and if you think about it, it's a very rational choice, because that's how they find talent. That's how they harvest talent. That's why many attorneys keep you know they keep in touch with universities, and
Yep.
events where students are attending, because who knows, maybe they will find a good associate that will make their firm perform better.
Better.
So you get the job, but they get the talent. So don't think that you are the only one who's getting something good out of the relationship, because it's
They are.
it's a it's a it's a quid pro quo. In every way, and in a good way, not in a corruption language way, but it's a quid pro quo. They get to invest in your talent, and you get a good job and a career, and hopefully you develop something, even in most cases maybe not, but in some cases you may end up with something even more than a simple employment relationship.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Rosario, for sharing. I feel like you've shared very important nuggets. Um, Emphasis on building relationships. It's important. Emphasis on knowing who you are and being authentic to yourself. So I just want to thank you for joining me on this segment. Really, really appreciate it. And um, guys, if you are interested in seeing another segment, we have another one coming up where we're going to talk about the school Rosario did his master's in, and just dig in a bit for those who are interested in his school and want to know what makes Rosario think. That might be a good segment for you, so watch out for that. Okay, guys, have a good one. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Okay, see you. Bye.